Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a balanced rack, but it's not bingo-y. U and W together, pretty awful. And pretty awful separately as well. However, this rack is too good to change. No duplicates and balanced. I'd like to get rid of the W and the U, but that may not be possible. Onto an R, I would have war and wall onto an L. Now I have wud, W-U-D, which would play if opponent changed. And through an H, I think I would have walk Ted. Well, opponent has played no H. And I'm not even sure there's anywhere for wood. I have would U through the U of Vendu. Vendu takes an E at the end, I believe. But is there any way of playing off U with W? That's my priority. How about through the V? No. What about this E? Wow, tricky. I have unwed, which has some merit, but certainly not the score. Because I am getting rid of U and W, I'm not setting up anything massive and I'm disrupting this double-double lane. I am going with this. Wow, I draw the first blank, which is great. And the Q, not too much of a problem because I have chi and cat on my rack. I would have sank through an N. There's a floating U on the board. And I've got the blank, which can be used as a U. So in the first instance, do I have a bingo here? And it's possible. It's just the O, which looks slightly non-bingo-y. So I have the co beginning. I don't think co-quita is good. So what are the floaters? How about the V? That doesn't look useful. Wow, Halid takes an E. I don't have one. Does the D assist? Not that I can see. How about the I? So I have IC as a possible ending for a word. Floating U, well, certainly useful because I can put my Q in front of it. But I'm not sure I want to do that unless I've got a bingo. Wow, tricky racks straight from the off. And I trail by 40 points. I'm thinking about playing cat here to disrupt the halide hook and to get rid of the Q. 27 points, quite a good score. Nowhere obviously better. Slightly concerned with this rack leave. If I draw an I or an O, it may be non-bingo-y. But this is the best I've seen. I'm going with this. Wow, I draw an I and an O. Horrendous. So through an S or an N, I would have isogonic. Neither available. I'm just wondering how suboptimal my opening plays have been. Possibly considerably. Very few floaters on the board. Wow, fantastic bingo by opponent. Does play an N, but not in the right spot for isogonic. Burns the blank. I now trail by 90. So I do have an ing if I use the blank as an N, and that would go with CIOO. That doesn't look useful. I and O amongst the available floaters. So how about the T? That looks most useful. Not seeing anything. So what about just playing quoit? 18 points. Wow. It would be nice to have a better rack leave than this. C and K go well together. Not seeing anything. What about the 2-letter sets? Not seeing anything. Well, I think I am going with quoit, but reluctantly. Another pretty poor rack. I would have cooeying with a C or an N. I would have Eugenies with an N or an S. Do I have anything ending IC? I don't think so. I have ego as a prefix, but this is just a rack with too many vowels. So where are the floating consonants? V doesn't look useful. How about the T? Now K takes an O in front, and I had one last turn. Maybe there was something better I could have done over the top of cations. However, it is nice to have an open board when you trail. 16 minutes on opponent's clock and mine. So is the K any good? It's not. I do have an O for OK. So I could play GOE. 20 points. Sorting the rack out to some extent, but not massively. What about the floating D? No. Okay, so this really is not a good rack at all. I have goad in column 14. Wow, another bingo by opponent, 68 points. This could turn into a battering. And look at that, there is an S, but in the wrong spot for Eugenies. I have the ISO prefix, no bingo comes to mind. And look at this, very few floating consonants, which is what I'm looking for. Well, I'm tempted by Gore. 27 points, half decent score. I'm leaving alone the S of ruralize and the DS hooks for it. I'm taking out bingo lanes in columns 2 and 4, but I do have the ING ending with the I and the blank on my rack. Obviously the real problem with this rack is the horrendous rack leave, too many vowels. Can I do something about that? Well, the score is good, 27 points. Difficult to turn that down. I'm going with this. Or am I? Uri just fails. I am going with this. Well, a lot of vowels, but hardly surprising. Do I have something onto the C ending IC? No, not that I can see. Well, I do have the M for score. Maybe I can make a better job of leaving a decent rack leave. 20 points for opponent, he's slowing down. I trail by 130. So Mies is good. Now the obvious play with this rack is Moai. Does that play anywhere? Well, it does, but only setting up a really good spot in row H. Look at this, Vendu took an S. Interesting. Now, there could be a bingo here through HE. I have the hemi prefix. And then AD, not seeing anything. Now, oligemia is good. I would need an L or a G for that. Neither available. Bean takes nothing. So I can play moi. 22 points. Nice rack leave, provided I don't draw vowels. And not giving anything away. I'm going with this. Wow, I draw the J and the Z. Pretty non-bingo-y. Jizz would get rid of both. But I'm not seeing anywhere for that. G's would also get rid of both. Will opponent open the board up a little? Yes, he does. Does that give me a G's spot? I don't think it does. Lee does take an A in front. But I don't think I have the right tiles for Jay-Z. Wow, it would be so good to get rid of the J with the Z, with this blank hanging around. I trail by 120. With a T, I would have BizJet. So I could play Zia here. 30 points. That's not too bad. I'm taking out an easy scoring spot for opponent. Sort of. If he has an A, of course, he has an AZ play for a lot. Can I do any better than Zia? No, not seeing anywhere. I am going with this. Ah, Ali, not good, of course. Res is good. Can I do anything with that? No. Wow, this is proving tricky. "11 minutes on my clock." Well, I have Zia here, but putting a Z next to a double word square does not feel good at all. So, what about playing ZA or ZE even better? For 64, I think that might be the play. Okay, let me have another go. There we go. Okay, so I now trailed by a bingo. That took me a while to spot that hook for AD. I think I've always struggled with it. So what do I have with this rack? And thank goodness LE wasn't good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got to make this play. Any play down from the E is likely to set up a new bingo lane. Onto an A, I would have Jahala. I have Hadj and Hadji on my rack. And Hadji plays in column 2. That doesn't get doubled. But it does if I play it in row C, making Ali. Great. Opponent leaves that alone and only scores 20 points. Fantastic. So this is what I'm thinking of. Q's gone. I don't think this is massively dangerous, and in fact is a useful distraction. But am I overlooking a massive 60-point J play, as I so nearly did with the Z? No. So Vet takes an E in front for future reference. I am going with this. Well, this looks jolly decent, but do I have a bingo? Surely I do, but can I find it? And do I have a bingo ending in C? This rack looks like it will probably have a bingo ending LY or ILY. Okay, that bingo lane remains available. 7-letter lane in row B. Where are the floaters? Only 9 minutes on my clock, which isn't much. I have pairs of floaters. I'm going to ignore those. O. Well, yes, I should consider that. That looks like there could be something through it. The C, the O, not looking good. ES, B, I. Ah, what about the G, ING? Gosh, how long do I spend looking here? Let me just put that suffix down to focus my mind. No, I'm not seeing anything. So I think I'll focus mainly on a 7. So binately through an A. Trendily through an R. That's finitely through an I. This I is available for letters which hook gore. Ethinil, possibly, but that doesn't. Ah, ethinil would go down here. For 77, it's good. And I didn't continue looking because I was mindful of the time. 20 tiles is quite a lot. 8 minutes isn't very much. I now trail by 5. I haven't got a great rack. It's certainly non-bingo-y. Still 1B to come. Hadji takes a B in front. Ads takes a D. I have puncta on my rack. Wow, I was just thinking that this was a nice P spot. Opponent goes there. I don't have an O for Oxo, and there are 3 O's to come, so opponent could really capitalise down here. Having drawn to within 5 of him, he's now established a good lead. Still quite a few I's to come, and there is this G and this N on my rack with only one N to come. So if I can get rid of F, U and P, well, which I can do, for 17, this is not a bad 4-letter set. The P was useful for PI. Should I... The C is more bingo-y generally, but obviously the P goes right here. Well, the C will go nicely with an ING word. Tricky. And the C looks like it goes well with the L. 2 S's to come for ethinils. So I think I do need to maximise my rack. Leave 6 minutes on my clock. So do I go with Pafui? It's only 17 points, which is dismal. But I am getting rid of 3 ghastly tiles. I'm going with this. So, gosh, I thought I nearly had something. I have congrats onto an S. I don't have an I for ing. Still 3 to come, so it's sort of worth hoping to get one, or trying to get one, not burning the N off too cheaply. That was such a poor score, only 17. Now I do have an O for OXO. However, IO only takes an N and an S, so I would be burning my precious N. So what's the best I could do there? Nog. Only 22 points. Now opponent has burnt the B, not used the bargee hook, which is good because it leaves alone this bingo lane. Row N is an incredibly good bingo lane for Ethanyls. 6 minutes on my clock. And this rack is fairly close to a bingo. Am I sure I don't have one right now? That would be through a Y or an L. No. So what do I trash from this rack? Tricky. I certainly want to leave alone the floaters. I do trail by 50, which is pretty much a bingo. I certainly need to burn the G if I'm looking for an ing word. Where can I do that? Very, very few places. Can't burn the G with the ET. 4 minutes on my clock. I'm not in a good position. Ah, well, what about gout? Stopping opponent from playing OXO. 18 points, pretty decent rack leave, especially if I draw an I. Gout for 18. Wow, I miss all of the vowels. That's a brutal pickup, and I've now got another FP pair to deal with. And very few vowels on the board to get rid of them. Well, I can burn my A, there are vowels to come. But look at these remaining tiles, super bingo-y, and that's not a surprise, that is game over. Wow. Okay, so I'm 110 points behind, only 4 tiles in the bag. The maximum I can bingo is once. So I'm thinking about playing Frap. And I think I will. That will leave 1 in the bag, and it's a decent score. And still no I for ing. Now through, well, no, I was thinking of scansion. Gosh, I only trailed by 70. I could have closed the gap significantly with a final move bingo. But I don't think there is one with this rack. What about HE? Well, not seeing any way of playing off an N, and I would like to split up the duplicate N. Opponent taking a while with this final move, but that's fine. The game is won, and he plays 34 points with Trey. Nice play. Now, is he going out in 1 with IORW? 4 minutes on my clock. I don't think he is. He wouldn't have known what was in the bag, so he couldn't plan an out. So what am I going to do here? I'm thinking about trying to leave something OS or something AS. So if I played nose, is there anywhere to get rid of CAAN? Wow, tricky stuff. 3 minutes on my clock. So what do I have here? I have A, N, and I can play an A there, which takes an S. But can I now go out with cons? Well, if I play anno, then I can go out with banks. And natchies in column 10. I'm going with anno. So where is best? I have banks for 11. I have canzo for 14. Great. Well, both of those are not going to be blocked, I think. And natchies in column 10. So they're all my outs are in the same area of the board. Opponent plays low for 12 points. So I have cans here for 14. Can I do any better? Nope, I don't think so. I am going with this. And the final score, 387 for me, 470 for my opponent, a winning margin of 83 points, so well done to my opponent. Let's see what I missed. That felt like a very strange game. I'm experiencing some trepidation. There could have been a lot of blunders. So, opponent to go fast plays Vondu, my rack. What do? I played unwed for 11. Yeah, and every single other play doesn't burn U and W. However, chord I5 scores so much more than unwed that it's definitely a better play. So a blunder from move 1. Opponent's rack plays Halid. And what do? I play cat for 27. That looks fine. Great bingo by opponent. Plays cations. No bingo for me. And I play quoit for 18. That looks fine. And superb spot by opponent of Ruralize. Sultria also available. So I trail by 140 points, so not a great start. No bingo here. And I play Gore for 27. Yeah, I think that's fine. The blank can be a consonant. It's 11 more points. L3 Sugi. Yeah, that has merit as well. This 11-point sacrifice, probably just about right in terms of the rack leave. But Sugi sets up access to this triple word square, but that's not a disaster for me. Sugi is covering the double letter square. Opponent can't put a high scoring tile on there. Any play onto that triple word square creates floaters. So I think probably Sugi a better play. Now, opponent with vowels plays bean. No missed bingo here. What do? I play moi for 22. Demoy G8. Yeah, that would have been better. Slightly better rack leave and slightly better score. Opponent's rack plays Lee. And I eventually, after playing a phony, find Zeddy for 64. And my hopes were raised from 140 down. I'm now 60 down. Opponent has obviate. And it plays. Good grief. And where does it play? A5. Wow. Parallel to Lee. Gosh. Missed bingo there. So, plays vet for 26. I'm now 80 behind. c3 had g, that was my play. And opponent's rack plays jam, could have stuck a b on the end. And now I played ethanol quite quickly, but what else was available? Well, venality, g13. Okay, that's close to where I played ethanol. And tinsely, a 7, b6. Wow, that would have been a tragedy to miss that if ethanol had not been playable. Okay, so nothing major missed here, and I did play ethanol quickly with one eye on the clock. And this is the point where from 140 behind, I had come back to trail by just 5 points. And this was such an evanescent moment because look at this. Opponent plays Ox to re-establish a handsome lead. And I've drawn this heap of junk. But I didn't like my play. It doesn't appear here. I played Pafui to leave the best possible rack leave. Puncto b10. Interesting. That's nice. Well, no, it's not nice. It keeps the F, which is non-bingo-y. Score's pretty good. But it is opening up row A. Yeah, I don't like that. Corf. That looks much better. I11. Well, taking out these floaters and highly dependent on drawing vowels. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything fabulous. I think Pafui does have a lot of merit. The rack leave of Kant certainly better than the rack leaves on offer here. Now, opponent's rack plays big. And I'm only 55 points behind, so a bingo would bring me right back into the game, but I don't have one on this rack. I play Gout for 18, which is slightly off the pace. But I'm keeping Kant, I'm keeping Cran, which is pretty good. Given the G and the, well, only one eye available, 3 eyes from my perspective. Anyway, I did have hope at this point. I don't now. Opponent bingos, and I trail by 110. I play Frap. Opponent plays Tray. And the bag is empty. I'm looking to go out in 2. Not obvious from these plays whether they're better than my play. I play Anno keeping cans. I think that guarantees an out in 2, but I'm not sure. Opponent plays low, and 14 is all that's achievable. So what a strange game. I was expecting there to be a raft of missed or a raft of suboptimal moves, but there was, I think, probably just about the normal amount, and the suboptimal moves were only mildly to midly suboptimal on a couple of plays, so it wasn't a huge catalogue of blunders that I feared. Good play by opponents, and it was a really up and down game from 140 down all the way back to being neck and neck, and then it slipped away again and I ended up being 110 down soon after. So an up and down game. Many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.